Welcome to a new edition of the Ripple Effect Podcast, our year-end edition for 2023. I was just sitting here scrolling through all of the episodes this year. It saw 2 American Ninja Warriors, 2 TEDx speakers, and a whole bunch of just amazing, world-changing leaders appear on this show. And I'm just so humbled. I'm so blessed to have so many people say yes to come on the Ripple Effect podcast with Steve Harper, because at the end of the day, they didn't have to. Many of them did not know me before we connected, and I extended the invitation. And yet they showed up and they said, yes, sure, whoever you are, whatever you do, I'll come check it out. And what I kept hearing over and over and over again was how fun and how easy I made it for them to come on board of the show and just be a part of it. And the questions I asked, I prepared, I was thoughtful, I gave very little indication of what I was going to ask, but I explored the areas that I felt like coming into the show would be the most important to them, but most importantly to you. And I got some tremendous feedback from those that appeared. In fact, I've had some of them have even extended their stay, if you will, and continued to be engaged with me in what we're doing with the pond, have delivered master classes for our Connect and Grow coaching membership. They have asked for us to find avenues to speak together. And in fact, Maggie Thorne, one of the American Ninja Warriors who appeared, who is now leading a huge effort through the AIM Institute to put more focus and effort on tech jobs and those as opportunities as a career path, not just for the young people, but for people that are looking at making complete changes from where they started to where they could go. She invited me to be a part of a conference in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had such a blast being out there and connecting with those people in the tech world. But all of these things came about because I was willing to step up to the plate and make the request. And I think back in years past, I've had amazing guests. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that I have been able to hit it out of the ballpark every single year. But I had one of the all-time winningest baseball coaches who happened to coach at my alma mater, the University of New Mexico, Ray Birmingham. And this man came on with leadership lessons and commitment. And this is a guy that the Major League Baseball teams seek out for input and insight. And yet I stepped up to the plate, coach, and I asked, and we've become great friends. In fact, I would say every single one of the people that have come on board, from best-selling authors like Andrea Shearer to, purpose practitioners like Kristen Collins, also a TEDx speaker. Patty DiNucci, has written another book on the power of conversation and how to build your network. These are all people that are busy people, yet they made time. And I was so humbled that they said yes. This podcast has been one of the greatest experiences I think I could have ever possibly done. It has been such a tremendous confidence booster for myself. It has given me a reason to step outside of my comfort zone and ask people that I wouldn't ordinarily have an opportunity to connect with, come on my show. Let me learn from you. Let me bring what I can to the conversation, and let's spread your genius to our audience. And those of you that have listened have come back time and time again, like, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing this person into my world. I'm now following them. I've bought their book. I saw their TEDx speech. I went on YouTube and I found what they're doing. I'm following them on, the social platforms and staying in contact. And it's just been tremendous. And that's what the ripple is all about, right? At the end of the day, it's about taking that chance. It's about casting that stone and seeing where the ripples might lead you. And, I've got to give the credit where the credit is due to this show, and that it is actually raised my game to make sure that I come prepared, that I am well read, and that I am bringing the best possible questions I can to you or to our guests so that they can deliver the types of answers that you as our audience need to hear to learn from these masters, these amazing, amazing people. And so as I look forward to our roster of what's coming up in 2024, I continue to just be so freaking thrilled that this little dream of a podcast continues to grow and continues to expand and just leading me down so many paths to make so many amazing connections that are turning into true, genuine relationships and friendships. And I'm so thankful for that. So as I look at the 2023 recap, I'm thinking about all the growth that I've had. I've gotten better at editing. I've gotten some new skills. I've been able to do some things, but I've also realized that there are certain elements that I need to take off. I've actually had 2 other shows that I've been working on, and we've kind of pared them down, right? So they're coming to a conclusion. They may come back out in different forms at some point, but Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and myself, it just reached a point after our 3rd season that it was time maybe to take a pause. And both of us got so busy. Meeting up every week to do that show was becoming a bit of a chore. And the challenge for me was I needed to be able to take something off my plate. Conversations with Asha and Steve. Many of you have asked what happened to that show. And I got to say, nothing happened to the show. Asha and I kind of just took a pause over the summer. And then it just, we intended to come back in the fall. And then she was dealing with some personal issues. And, most recently, the loss of her father. And so, Conversations with Asha and Steve is just on permanent hiatus. We may come back. We may bring it out in that same form at some point. But what I realized is by sort of making space, by sort of backing away from these other 2 shows, I'm super proud of what we've done with those. I'm super proud of the content that's in there. And I really encourage you to go back and check out those shows and listen to those episodes, because there are just wisdom nuggets beyond any measure on so many different topics, so many powerful questions. And I so love Donna Carlin and Asha Prasad, Dr. Asha Prasad. They are such good friends. And we'll be back. We're going to find other ways to continue to contribute and add our 3 cents, as Donna likes to say, out there into the world. But it was just time to kind of take a step back. And for me, my interest was trying to learn how to say no and find some balance. For me, 2023 has been a huge growth year. I have grown as a leader. I have grown in my commitment, in my compassion to do things the way that I think they need to be done. And I don't make apologies for how and the ways that I approach it. There were times before where I felt so insecure and I felt like I was so dependent on, let's say, other people to help guide me and direct me. And I kind of realized in this year that there were things that I needed to take that control and be very, very cognizant of what these decisions were and the outcomes that they would bring about. And so I got myself educated. I spent a lot more time researching. I have a lot of room to grow, a lot of more to learn. But this year was a huge shift in my leadership style, my commitment, my passion, because at the end of the day, I wanted to entrust the people that I have on my team to do the things that they need to do. And for those of you who are like, well, what are you talking about? We were talking about the podcast. This has been a growth year for me, right? So it's not just the podcast, it's my software company. It's and I say company because we're in the process of acquiring one of my other companies and folding it in. This just became the process, right? This became a necessary step in my evolution as an individual, as an entrepreneur, and as a leader to start recognizing the things that were really serving me and the things that were not. And one of the things that was not serving me was being indecisive. And being indecisive as it relates to the podcast episodes, or the podcast shows, I knew my heart was not totally in it to continue down that path on these other shows, at least not right now. I needed to open up some space. I needed to take some things off my plate, take them off my shoulders, and stop worrying about it. And when I did, it was like this huge weight was lifted, and it gave me some confidence and some courage, right? And as I moved into my, other company and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, with this one company, do we let it go? Do we sell it? And it just became obvious that I needed to fold it up under owner insight and present what we do in terms of the software as a united solution. And once I made that decision, I felt lighter and felt more invigorated. And then as we started down the path of new development, that has not gone exactly the way that I had hoped. It's been a lot more of a challenge. It's been a lot more frustration. I felt like in some capacity, right, that I was super out of my depth. But the only way you get comfortable in areas that you don't have knowledge or experience is to find other people to surround yourself with that you can ask questions, you can benchmark off experiences, you can learn from people that have gone down that path before you. And what you realize is they didn't have a clue what they were doing until they did it. And that gives me, or gave me, a lot more confidence to know that, I don't have to go into these things being the subject matter expert. I have to build my network, build my resources of people that I can tap on when I actually hit a wall, or there's questions or concerns, or we feel like we might be about to jump off the cliff. And those folks become our resources. Those people become our contributors in a lot of ways. And for me, that strengthened relationships in a variety of ways. And it allowed me to go back and find some, unique conversation points to discuss where I was, where I wanted to go, and what I needed to do to get there. And that helped. But it also brought back confidence within my corporate wall, right? People knew that I wasn't just flying off the handle and making decisions. They knew that I was doing things in a thoughtful, a prescriptive way, which I can say has not always been the way that I've done things. And that I'm putting a lot more care into the decisions that I make. And I may not necessarily be exactly happy with the results all the time. I may be a bit impatient. I know you're thinking, God, Steve, impatient? No, not possible. Hold on a sec. Let me take a little drink out of my Yoda cup. Yes, I love it. I drink from a little bit of Yoda wisdom here. But yeah, at the end of the day, I do have, or have had, the tendency to get super upset and frustrated, and I make everybody around me miserable. And so I've actually tried to learn to tap that back, which has been ironic because as I look at 2023, I was meditating less, I was spending less time in my head. And I know that I need, as I move towards 2024, I've got to get back to that practice. I need to make sure when I walk in the door that I actually head to my meditation studio, not to this studio or not to my office. I need to spend some time resetting the old cabeza, finding my balance, and managing my stress and my expectations. So despite that, the fact I wasn't doing a whole lot of that in this year, I still was able to sort of find balance in my decision making and my temperament. And I'm very proud of my growth there. There are, of course, always areas that I can improve on. And I have tried to go head first into a whole bunch of new learning opportunities, not just on the technical side for my software, but I'm trying to adapt my skills for the videos that we're making, the audio recordings that we're doing. I'm trying to get more comfortable and understanding of what we're doing in terms of building the technical aspects of building our community, which we call the pond. If you're not in the pond, you got to get in the pond. It's free. For now, it's going to be free. ripplecentral.com/POND. This is a community, a playground that we've created on a platform called Circle that I am very proud of. It's an opportunity for us to share ideas, have conversations, and do events that allow us to practice our rippling skills. And so this past year has been a big growth there because I've learned to understand the nuances of that and what that takes to build a community. And that has been somewhat of a challenge, but I expect to make huge strides forward in that in the upcoming year. But I've been also immersing myself in as many YouTube videos and subject matter experts on areas that I'm trying to learn, including, believe it or not, guitar. I had interviewed Laura Bateman, who is just this amazing, e-course entrepreneur that has just blown up. She does guitar lessons via the web, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube's one of her places. And what's great about Laura is that she is giving you lots to think about for free. And then people that get hooked in her learning or her teaching style and want to learn from her, they sign up and become a paid member of her community. and how she's done it. It was just, you go back to that episode, it was amazing how she grew this little fan base from COVID and just has blown up. And she has taken down some serious money in what she's doing and how she's doing it. I also got an opportunity to visit with this year Brian Benson, a TEDx speaker, a filmmaker. He is a storyteller, and he, in combination with Lynn Graft, two different episodes, but these guys embody what it means to tell a story and how to keep people engaged. And I've learned so much from both of them. I've known Lynn for years, but Brian's a fairly new friend. And Brian and I were on the phone yesterday because he's dealing with some health issues. And I offered to, even go out and stay with him if he needs it, just to, to let him know that, this is not a, hey, thanks for coming on my show. Thanks for, just being a guest, but we've stayed in contact, and we've actually spitballed on some ideas, and we've been there to, brainstorm and benchmark off one another. And we've created a real friendship and a brotherhood. And that all came because of this show. I got an opportunity to, as I mentioned, interview a lot of change experts. My good friend Anne Fry, as I think about this show, Anne is dealing with the early onset of dementia, and she recognizes it. She's had to hang up her coaching practice, but she is still sharp as a tack. But she's being open and honest about her struggle and this challenge that she knows that is going to be her eventuality. And we had an amazing conversation in July, an opportunity to sit down and talk about some of the challenges that this disease is causing and some frustrations it's bringing to the table for her, and how her partner Jim is just right there to help her battle it on a daily basis. And she's, those of you that know Anne Fry, this woman is got no quit. She has such a spirit and fire, and I was just truly honored that she would come on the show and just talk so openly about this challenge that she's struggling with. I had the opportunity to talk about mythology and connecting with Ben Dennis. Ben is this high-level thinker that I got an opportunity to be introduced to by Ted Rubin, who was also on the show this year. Ted is just an amazing entrepreneur, and it was a little post that Ted made about Ben and his thoughtful journaling that really intrigued me about wanting to learn more about Ben. And so I came back to Ted and I said, hey, could you introduce me to Ben? Ben and I had a great conversation. Then we decided to record a podcast. And this guy, talk about thoughtful, committed, understanding the power of mythology and what it can help us learn and understand about our day-to-day lives. This guy will get you really, really charged up and thinking. And of course, Ted, the energy level of this guy and the commitment that he has to return on relationship, that's his model. He and I finally had the opportunity to actually meet face-to-face this past March when he came down for South by Southwest. He invited me to a very special Brand Innovators, sort of a kind of a conference event going on sort of at the same time as South by Southwest. So I get to hang out with some very smart, amazing brand leaders, companies from like PepsiCo and leading fashion industry, folks, Reebok, etc. It was really amazing. And again, because I've cultivated these relationships, I've grown them, and I've used the podcast as my jumping off point. And because of all these great conversations, I kind of got off on a tangent of recapping a little bit, but at the end of the day, this has led me down multiple paths. It re-inspired me to go back to my master classes Masterclass, the website, and take very specific classes, from some real mover and shaker entrepreneurs, filmmakers, and just some incredible people. I have gotten so much value out of that. And that led me down additional paths for books that I've read. I've probably read or listened to more books this year than I have in a very long time. And my head is just spinning with great ideas, different ways to bring all these experiences, all these things I'm learning, all these little nuggets into this environment that we're here to have in this podcast. Conversations that you and I get to have when we're doing these one-on-ones, or leading me down the thread of an idea from a change maker or subject matter expert who will then come on the show and elaborate on these things. So as I look at 2023, it was a huge movement year for me. I think I went through some tremendous growth. I think I have gained some new skills. I've gained a completely new appreciation for just how gosh darn lucky I am to know some amazing people And I became proud of myself that I didn't just let these individual interviews happen in a bubble and just, occur one time. I've continued to stay in contact with these amazing folks and let them know that if they're willing, I am definitely interested in building a relationship with them. And I'm happy to report I haven't had one reject me. In fact, I have more communications today than I think I ever have from my guests, because they literally have interest in what we're doing with the Ripple, and they are intrigued with what I'm trying to create and are willing to step up and actually add their own bit of insight and flavor to help me get to the next level. And so I'm so tremendously grateful. So I want to just say and recap, none of this would be possible without you. For you listening, watching, paying attention day to day at what I'm doing, you offering and suggesting other subject matter experts that you want to hear me interview, you coming to the table to send me notes or catching me out in the wild and saying how much you appreciate my level of passion and commitment for bringing these people, these amazing individuals into your world. And I'm just so truly honored and so blessed to have the opportunity to do what I do. I'm a very multifaceted entrepreneur, and I often get the question, how do you do it all? I don't know. I just do. I just show up because it's the work I think God intended me to do. I think I'm following the path that I'm supposed to be on. And I'm opening doors because of many of these interviews that we're doing on this podcast to additional opportunities. And I am learning so much. If there wasn't even one listener out there that actually benefited from this show, I'd be okay with that. I know it's not true. I see our numbers. We're growing, we're expanding, and that's thanks to you telling other people to check in with this show and to put it on their playlist, which I truly, truly appreciate. But even if that wasn't happening, I am like getting a front row seat to some of the most amazing people on the planet. And I feel like getting an opportunity to sit in front of this pure genius and ask them questions and learn what motivated and inspired them. What I have taken away from this year is that despite the success and astronomical success on every level, these amazing guests that have been on the show this year, every single one of them has self-doubt. Every single one of them didn't necessarily believe in what they were doing. Every single one of them found a next level courage to continue to show up and keep putting in the work. And every single one of them just did what nobody else would do. And these lessons inspire me. They motivate me. I hope they inspire and motivate you. And I am truly, truly honored to have the Ripple Effect podcast with Steve Harper be a respite from the craziness of the world that we have today. A place that you can come, learn, be inspired. It's always there. You can come back anytime, revisit any of the episodes. You can get new perspectives. You hear it one time and then you come back another time a couple of months later and you learn something new. The ability to have and play one small little part in creating that positive ripple for you, my listener or my viewer, if you happen to be catching this on YouTube, it's an honor of a lifetime. I can't wait to see what 2023 holds for myself and for you. And I just wish, with the bottom of my heart, you have the best holiday season, that you move forward with commitment and courage, and that you keep showing up to do the work. I will as well. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you to my co-hosts, Donna Carlin for Inquiring Minds and Dr. Asha Prasad for spending time with your buddy and having the opportunity to have those conversations, to ask those deep questions, to have that deep dialogue. And we're not done. We're just on pause for the time being. We'll be back with those variations of those shows at some point or something different. But I want to thank you both for just, believing in me and having the courage to, to get behind a mic and have a conversation with me. It has been a true honor. I want all of you to know that at the end of the day, we do make a difference. We do, through our words, through our actions, through how we show up as our authentic selves. And sometimes that can be scary, but it does make a difference. and you don't know what word you'll say or what action you'll take that will inspire someone else into their own level of greatness. But if you don't show up and you don't keep creating those opportunities or finding those opportunities to create those positive ripples, you'll never know, and it'll never happen. So keep doing it. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for being with me. Let me know what else you want from this show. Let me know what else you need from me, and I will do my level best to be able to meet your expectations and then some. Until next time, my friends, we'll see you in season 9. Ripple on, take care, love one another, and just go create some positive ripples.